Good morning from Artistic Artifacts in hot and steamy Alexandria, Virginia. If you're viewing this today, just give us a little hello and tell us where you're from and see if you're just as hot and steamy as we are. I hope you're a little cooler. Before we get started on today's talk, I just want to remind you of a couple of things. We are hosting the Mid-Atlantic Shop Hop at this point in time. So if you're a shop hopper, please be sure to put us on your schedule and stop by and see the store. We have all kinds of fun things here. This week, we will also be hosting two artists from Indonesia that are batik makers. And Thursday night at 6:30, they are going to do a little talk and demonstration and then have a handmade market afterwards. You would need to go to our website and sign up for that. I believe it's a $10 registration fee, but double check me on that. And then also they will be doing some hands-on class, a two-day class this Saturday and Sunday, and there's still a couple of spaces left in that. I think you'll really enjoy it. I missed them the last time I was here, so I was very anxious to sign up, and I'm really looking forward to learning all about the history of batik and how you do it, and get some inside information from these folks that are very experienced. So check out our website for more information on that. And then today's topic, we are here to talk about the BERNINA Hoop Frame, which is a really spectacular opportunity here. It is a very innovative answer to long arm quilting in a limited space. So what's so cool about this setup is that it can quilt any size project. It can quilt a placemat, something as small as a placemat, and something as big as your imagination. There's just no limits on the size that you can quilt on it, but yet the footprint is only 70 inches by 39 inches. So you really can do a whole lot in a small space. You have to pardon me for looking at my notes every now and then because I have lots to tell you about and I don't want to leave anything out. This machine accommodates the Q Series 16 and Q Series 20 machine. It also will accommodate any brand domestic machine that has at least a 10-inch throat space. Smaller than a 10-inch throat space, you really don't get enough space to do quilting with. But your best options are the Q16 and the Q20. You have the width of this is 43.5 inches, so you have that much quiltable space available to you no matter what size your machine is. Then the throat space determines the depth of your quilting area. A Q16 will give you 11.25 inches and a Q20 will give you 14 inches. So the larger the throat space, the less rehooping you would have to do on your project if you're doing, say, a queen size quilt. The frame is pretty cool in that it is a, Chris, I'm going to come over here and show these rails. It is a sturdy steel frame, and it's made, all four sides have these star-shaped rails on them. And what that is good for, the clamps really grip the star-shaped rails and it holds your project from shifting and slipping around. It holds your project nice and taut, so you could set the tension of your quilt top to where you need it and it will stay. It's not going to vary. It's not going to shift on you. And watch, so it snaps into position and it's going to hold that very nicely. These are side leaders. You get two of them with the package in case your project is not wide enough to fit from end to end. So I was able to quilt my project on one side and used a leader on the other side. I just pin the leaders. I find it very easy. You can sew them down if you want to, but then you have to unsew them and resew them with every hooping. So I think just using the long arm pins works very well. The clamps, you can see on the take-up rail in the back, there's 3 of these large trough clamps. And what they do is as you progress with your quilt and you have more and more quilt hanging over the back of the rail, you want to roll it up and put it in these troughs and then put the clip over it to keep it in the trough. This way, none of the quilt falls down into the rear throat space and gets interferes with the carriage movement of the frame. So I think that's a really clever idea on taking care of that, that problem. So let's see what else we've got here. So, and also I didn't mention the front rail is a star-shaped rail, but it's also ratchet. So here the ratchet, so you can get your tension set nicely on that. And if you went a little too far with your tension, you can release the ratchet underneath here, if I can get it right. It's very easy, actually. I'm just not getting it right. But anyways, you could release the ratchet under there and release the tension somewhat. So you will have the right tension for your sewing area. A little clue about this, some long arms like brands like a really tight tension quilt. We have 2 BSRs right here underneath on either side of the needle. And when I start sewing, you'll be able to see the red lights show up. If the quilt top is too tight on here, your BSRs can't read the movement of the fabric. So you need to have a little bit of play in your quilt. And I think we're good here. We've got a little bit of play in it. So you don't want to get it too tight on there. Just a little hint. And also I wanted to mention that if you're dealing with a really small space, you might want to get the optional casters, because you can then just move the whole thing out of the way. If you're really that space crunched, they're a nice option to just roll the frame a little bit out of the way. Okay, and now the frame does, when you buy the frame, if you're using it for a standing position, the frame is set for your height at the time of installation. So you are measured. There's a little chart in the installation book, and you're measured your height from your elbow to the floor, and that tells us which position to put the leg in for your height. And then after we get that set up, we let you play with it a little bit before and make sure that that's comfortable for you and do any adjustments. It's very hard to adjust that height after the whole thing is built and the machines are on it. So we want to get it right for you as a user as we're building it. It also can be lowered all the way to 30 inches and used for a sit down. And we have actually installed a machine as a sit down, and our customer is very pleased with the ability to use it in the sitting position, because that worked better for her than standing. So the frame, is, like I said, is compatible with the Q16, the Q16 Plus, the Q20, and domestic machines with a 10-inch throat space or larger. Now, if you don't know the difference between the Q16 and the Q16 Plus, it's very easy. Obviously, they both have a 16-inch throat space. What the Plus offers that's different from the straight Q16 is that you could use a pantograph kit on this frame with the Plus. And the pantograph kit lays on the back table of the frame, and it attaches to the machine. There's rear handlebars that go to the back of the machine also with that. And then at any time, if you choose to upgrade to a long arm, maybe you're lucky and you moved into a new house with a bigger room and you're going to get a full-on long arm, you'll be able to transfer that to the long arm, and it is also Qmatic compatible, and that's the computerized quilting. So that would be a nice option if you see anytime down the road that you might eventually have a full-on long arm machine. That's good for that. And the Q20 is the same. It's also compatible with the pantograph kit and the Qmatic. So those are options for you to think about how you want to set up your frame. Let's see what else. So now all the Q series has the same interface here, and it's very easy. Everything is front forward on this machine. You have nothing to go back behind. You don't need to spin your bobbin in a separate apparatus or in the back of the machine. Everything is done in the front. It's easy to reach. So we have tension, presser foot up and down, personal files, bobbin low indicator, and BSR indicator. You have your needle stop up and down position, your stitching line, and another presser foot up and down. You can see this goes up and down when I press here, so they both work the same way. This next section here are the 4 sewing modes, BSRs 1, 2, 3, and manual. So let me talk a little bit about those because they are pertinent in what you're doing. There are 2 BSRs built into this machine. And in the BSR 1 mode, when you stop moving the sew head, the needle will continue to go up and down. So you will use that for when you're making points like squares or triangles or stars or you know, those swirls that you want to get that center point just so. And you just take a half a breath space time at those points, and the machine takes an extra stitch, giving you a nice crisp point. BSR 2 is just the opposite. When you stop moving the machine, the needle stops. And that's good for ruler work because you have to frequently readjust your ruler when you're doing ruler work. And you don't have to hit the start and stop button all the time. Just stop moving the machine, reposition your ruler, and then start moving the machine again, and it's going to sew for you. BSR 3 is the basting modes. There's 3 basting modes: 1 stitch per inch, 2 stitches per inch, and 4 stitches per inch. So you can baste your quilt on the frame if you want to. And then the last mode is the manual mode, and the BSRs are turned off on the manual mode, and that offers, what I like to use that manual mode for is very fine quilting, such as maybe micro stippling or little tiny pebbles, things like that. I find I have a little bit more control in the manual mode. I'm a little more comfortable in the manual mode. So you're going to play with all these different modes and see what works for you. Some of them you could adjust the stitches per inch. Some of them you could adjust how fast the needle goes up and down. So you're going to find the right combination that works for your style of quilting. Across the very bottom of the screen here are the toggle options for your handlebars. So each handlebar has 2 toggles, a 1 and a 2. So you can put 2 settings on each handlebar, and there's a bunch of settings here. So it's so easy to choose and set up the handlebars for how you like to quilt. And if you're right hand dominant, it's going to be different than if you're left hand dominant. And you're going to play with them a little bit to see which works on either hand for you, to find out the best combination. And lastly, lastly are the handlebars. They're fully adjustable. There are clamps on the side here that will open and close these. There's clamps around the back that can raise and lower them, so you can get them to the height and the adjustments that, again, are comfortable for you as a quilter. And that might take a little bit of playing with to see what works best, but you have lots of options here, which is really nice. So I thought I would show you a little bit of free motion quilting, because I'm sure you're looking at this machine going, I don't know how to free motion quilt. There's no way I'm going to ever be able to do that. That's not true. So I personally own a Q20 sit down. The muscle memory for a sit down is totally different than the muscle memory for a stand up. The sit down, you're moving your fabric just like you would in a domestic sewing machine. So I have practiced plenty on the sit down, and I'm pretty good with that muscle memory. However, I have no muscle memory for this. So I'm going to show you a few things on it, and if I can do it, you can do it. It just takes practice, and I know nobody wants to hear that, but it's the God's honest truth. It just takes some practice. Get yourself some plain fabric like this, draw some horizontal lines on it, and just practice some different motifs. So I thought I would just show you for free motion, start with maybe some E's and L's. So I'm going to get my bobbin thread up here. All right, and this pulls my bobbin thread up. I always like to start off with the bobbin thread up so I don't have any nests on the bottom. And I'm going to tell you something that I learned, and that is you need to touch these handlebars lightly, no death grip. And you can see I am not that good because I have not practiced a lot on this, but look how easy it is. The machine glides effortlessly, and you just need some practice. I'm doing great big fat ones. Maybe you want to do skinny ones.
And those 2 red lights are the laser?
The 2 red lights are the BSR lasers, so it's reading how fast the fabric is moving, so it knows how fast to make the needle go up and down to create the 10 stitches per inch that were set on here. You might want to change it to 12 stitches per inch, more or less depending upon what you're sewing on. And then when you feel good with this, try a little just random meander all around. And don't get your undies in a bundle over the meander because you think there's so many rules and the quilt police will come after you if you cross over. The quilt police aren't coming. See, here, there's no police are coming. You do what works for you, your style, what makes you happy. That's all that counts. And again, just that light touch. No death grip, because the machine does not glide as easily when you have the handlebars in a death grip. So that's free motion quilting. See how easy it is. You can do this. It's fun and it's easy. And just get yourself some favorite music going on. A lot of people like a particular rhythm so that they can feel the rhythm of making the circles. So figure out what works for you, and it's really fun. But this machine can also do, I feel like the Ginzu knife commercials from when I was a child, it can also do ruler work. So there is a base under here, and Chris, I'm going to try to show everybody the base. The base is clear plexi, so I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on the camera, but let me get my thread cut here so I can show you the base. I have some scissors right here.
Crystal said it looks good to her.
Thank you, Crystal.
And then Beth asked a question about how does the glide compare to the other Bernina long arm machines frame?
The glide. What, Beth, can you give me more information about the glide? You mean the gliding of the machine on the long arm frame versus the hoop frame? The carriages are very similar. I'm not sure exactly what they look almost the same to me. So I don't think there's any glide difference. I haven't noticed any difference from doing a little bit of free motion on the hoop frame versus on the long arm. They both glide very easily. And I'm hoping that's answering your question okay. So here you can see the ruler base. It's a plexiglass base, and it gives you a nice platform to rest your ruler on when you're doing ruler work. It snaps on and off of the frame right here. So if you don't want it on, if it's getting in your way and you're not using it, you know, it just easily pops off. So if you want to do ruler work, you'll need to get a ruler work base, and you'll need a ruler work foot. The machine comes with, I believe, the 96 foot, which is a solid shank. It doesn't have any of this cool stuff going on. I like this foot better. This is a 72S, and I like it for a couple of reasons. One is I don't have to break my thread because there's a slit in it. There's my hand in the way, Chris. There's a slit in it to get my thread through there. So if I want to change back and forth between a standard free motion quilting foot and a ruler work foot, it's easy because I never have to break my thread. It also has the spring and this thumb screw, and that is ideal for setting the height of this foot because you might be working on different thicknesses. Your projects might be different thicknesses. Maybe you're making a baby quilt with just a flannel backing on it, so you want to lower that foot as close as you can. But maybe you have a quilt with a double batting. You've got wool and cotton in there because you want it to be really warm, and you want to show off all your wonderful free motion stitching, and that's going to be really thick. So you can just use that little thumb screw there and raise the height of that foot so that you can accommodate. Maybe you have lots of embellishments. You've got lots of applique. You've put layers of all kinds of cool stuff on there. You need to have your foot up high. So I like the 72S foot for those two reasons.
Okay, Barbie, I have one question.
Sure.
And again, it's Beth. And Beth, I'm assuming when you ask how easy it is to move the machine, are you talking about the frame or moving the machine? Because I think Barbara was showing how to move the machine. It's very easy for her to manipulate.
Yeah.
But if it's the frame,
I'm using one finger, and look, it can move any direction. That's how easy it glides. It's one finger, if that's what you're asking, Beth. So you need just a very light touch to move it, and it will move, and it will make your circles, it'll make your meanders, whatever you're working on.
And then I think the other, you answered the question before, was if you wanted to move it in your sewing room, you would want to get the
casters.
The casters.
Yes, and the casters will allow you to roll it in and out. And we did install the casters. We ended up not, because she didn't have enough space for it. So we did not install them, but it does roll easily out. I've seen them. We had them at the show at the Bernina University. They were all on casters, and they roll very easily. So hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully it's
okay,
helpful.
Beth, if that didn't answer your question, let us know, and we'll see if we can get the right answer for you.
All right, so I thought I would talk a little bit about rulers real quick here. I think we have a few minutes left. Bernina has 3 different ruler sets, and they're all excellent. They each set is a set of 4. There's a wonderful instruction kit with each set of rulers. It comes with this little book on how to use each ruler, and lots of ideas on how to use the rulers, and it explains everything. It's really quite good, and I think you'll be happy with it. Here it tells you each step on how to create the motif that ruler is made for. This one's like a little what do you call that? The ribbon candy, sort of like a ribbon candy. So I really, and every set has their own custom booklet that goes with it for Bernina. Artistic Artifacts also carries the Creative Grids by Angela Walters. We have a whole selection of them. I just brought a couple here. And what's nice about these guys, on the back of her packaging, she has see a demo, and you just scan the QR code and you could watch a little demo. And she's got all kinds of samples of what this ruler, the ruler in this package, can do. And each package comes like that, so it's really nice to have.
And they're non-slip like the rest of the Creative Grids rulers.
Yes. Yeah. All of these quilting rulers, each one has its own kind of a non-stick grip on the back, and they all work very well. They're each a little different, but they work very well. We also have these good measure sets from Amanda Murphy that are excellent. You can see all these black lines, and these are all reference lines to help you keep your quilting lined up with your quilt blocks, and each row lined up with the previous row. So hopefully you're going to come out with something that's going to be square, like the picture that you have in your head. And Amanda also has a QR here to scan for additional demos and information. So all of these rulers are excellent. I just finished a quilt using this whole set of circles. I used every one of them. I just put random circles all over the top of my quilt using these circles. And I didn't have any issue with them skidding. They have a nice grip to them. There's lots of size variety here that I was able to put on my quilt, and I was really happy with the way that turned out. So we've got lots of options here. I think we have a shape and a size for everything.
We've got a couple questions.
Okay, let's go with questions.
The one is, do these rulers work with other Bernina machines?
So yes, these rulers work with all Bernina machines. Bernina machines are high shank machines, and these are high shank rulers. Other vendors that are not Bernina may call them high shank, or they might call them 1/4 inch, because the depth of this ruler is a 1/4 inch, and that is made to accommodate the collar on the Bernina ruler foot and the shank shape of the machine, the height and the depth of the shank, so that you get the right one. So a high shank ruler or a 1/4 inch ruler will work on all Bernina machines. They're all the same. That's one of the nice things about these Q machines. They're so similar to the domestic machines. They take domestic needles. They take the same feet as a domestic machine, so that you don't have to buy a bunch more feet. There's about 6 or 8 feet from the domestic machine that will fit on the Q series machines. So they're interchangeable. So that's nice.
And then the other question is, are they beginner friendly? And that's Crystal's asking that question.
Are the rulers beginner friendly?
She just says, are they? And it was while you were talking about the rulers. Yeah.
So yes, I think so, Crystal. In conjunction with the instructions that you get on how to do the different patterns, I'm going to
practice.
It absolutely is practice. Here we're going to do a little. This is a petal shape from Bernina, and
then while you're setting that up, is Gwen wants to know, do the rulers work even on an older Bernina model?
Yes, they do. If your Bernina has if your Bernina feet has red numbers on it, these will work on that. If they don't have red numbers, we might have to order the foot for you, but we can get them. All right, so Chris, here, maybe if I do it this way, it'll be better for the camera.
Yeah.
So I'm lining up the lines on here with the lines that are on this quilt sample, so that hopefully if I did this all the way around, my flower petals would all be nice and even. I like these little ditches in here because the presser foot rests in them. That's your start and stop point. So I'm going to just hold. And you just hold, this is another thing, you don't want a death grip on these rulers. You just want to hold them lightly. They have sticky stuff on the back. Here we go. To keep them pretty much in place. And, all right. So see, you can tell I'm not good at this, but.
We are also doing it on camera.
Yeah. So, and then what we do is.
You just flip
it over. And yeah, much better this way than the other way. And you'll find that different hand positions you're better at than And you'll figure out which ones work best for you as you try this. So you can see I'm starting to make a flower here. So the fabric here has the grid lines for my reference points, which you would just draw with a chalk pencil or whatever your favorite kind of quilt marker is, and use those lines in conjunction with the lines on your ruler, and you would get a nice flower all the way around. So again, I do not have the muscle memory for this, and I think you saw that it was pretty easy to do, that with a little bit of practice I wouldn't perhaps get so many bobbles in it. But I think you should come in and give it a try. If you're a local person, I'd love to have you come in and play on it. We're here till 4 o'clock today, so stop by and see us. And if you have any more questions, just let us know, because I'm happy to answer them.
When we're finished, we have Barbara's given us 2 videos that we'll put the link in that are also helpful, that she thought would be helpful to add to this today. And we'll put the links for the frame and also the rulers and the foot. We'll put those in a little bit. We got to open the doors now. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Barbara. That was really, really a very good demonstration.
Thank you very much.
Martha has a comment.
Okay. You can see how easily that thing glides, the fact that you held the thing down with one hand and move this.
It does really glide very easily. So that's why you need to come in and try it out, see what it feels like yourself.
Yeah, so Martha commented is just to see how she was moving the frame, moving the machine with one hand and holding the ruler with the other, is how easy it is to move the frame.
To move the sew head.
Yeah, the sew head. Yeah.
Well, thanks for stopping by, everybody. Hope you all have a great day.